We are headed into a perfect storm. In this educational episode, I'm going to talk about why we are headed for another recession and how to protect yourself. And I don't care when you're watching this episode because I'm filming this right now at the beginning of the year 2023, but recessions are going to continue to happen. And so watch, listen, and learn how to protect yourself so that you do not lose when we have recessions. You actually capitalize on them and you can become recession proof. I'm Doug Andrew, and I've been helping people optimize assets and minimize taxes now for just about 5 decades. And when I do this, I want to help people accumulate money on a tax-favored basis for long-term goals such as retirement or college funding or working capital for business. But when they do that, I don't want them to outlive their money. There are 3 big dangers that cause most retirees to outlive their money. I know I've seen this happen for now 50 years. So let's go through these because this is what happens during recessions. When a recession happens, this is when the government gets hard up for revenue, okay? And so sometimes recessions are caused by politicians who frankly don't understand economics. And so this is happening during the recording of this episode, primarily because of COVID-19, where in the years 2019, 2020, the Internal Revenue Service would collect about 3.8 trillion in tax revenue. That was their gross revenue. They would refund about 800 billion of that on tax refunds. And so their net revenue was 3 trillion. Now, I don't know how many people even understood that, but that's their income. Now, many times they spend a little bit more than that, and that's called deficit spending. But because of COVID-19, they decided to give unemployment benefits and do all kinds of things and stimulus packages. So during the first year of COVID-19, the government actually spent twice as much as they brought in. Now, that means they brought in about 3 trillion, but they spent about 6 trillion. So let me put this in perspective. If you were making $100,000 and you spent 200,000 because you went out and had to borrow the other 100, you need to pay that back. You've got to come up with the money or else something's going to give, okay? Well, the government, if you haven't figured out, doesn't do that. When they spend more than they bring in, they start printing money and they raise taxes. But do you know that there was an administration change and Joe Biden got in and he saw opportunity. Oh, we've got a huge excuse here, COVID-19, and so let's pass some other spending while we're in the mood. And so they passed these other stimulus packages and spending and all kinds of things. And if you add it up, if they keep spending based upon what they passed, they're going to be spending about 3.5 times more than what they bring in revenue, which means they got to bring in more revenue. Again, if you were making $100,000 a year and you were spending $350,000 a year, you're in trouble. Well, the country, I'm not going to talk about going into bankruptcy, but what does the country do? Well, the first thing they do is they start raising taxes. And if you can't see the writing on the wall, Biden, directly or indirectly, is raising taxes, income taxes, and also capital gain taxes. In fact, he wanted to double them from 20% up to 39.6%, the same rate as ordinary income. Whenever you sell a highly appreciated asset, you're normally forced into the highest tax bracket that year, which is about 40%. Now, he did not successfully pass that during his first 2 years. He was only able to increase it 25% from 20 to 25, okay? But that's on his agenda right now is to double the capital gain tax rates and also do away with the step-up in basis on long-term capital gains. Now, if you don't know what that is, it's where so many people buy real estate, let's say, and it's rental income property, and then they sell it and they buy a like property to keep putting off paying a capital gain tax, and they get a step up in basis. And then at the end of the day, if they die, they leave it behind to their kids, and the kids only have to pay a capital gain on what it was worth over and above what it was valued at, because they get a step up in basis. Otherwise, if the original owner sells it, they have to pay a huge capital gain tax. Well, maybe it would have been wise to do that at 15 or 20%, but a lot of people, they were afraid, oh, I don't want to do that. Well, it may behoove you, because if he does away with a step up in basis on long-term capital gains, you are going to miss out, because all those 1031 exchanges were for nothing. And so many times I will show people your real estate in San Francisco. You've got a 5-bedroom home that you say is worth $4.8 million, and you're renting it out for 10 grand a month, and you think that's good. Well, $10,000 a month times 12 months is $120,000 a year. Divide that into a $4.8 million asset, and that is a pathetic 2.5% rate of return. And yet they think they're trapped. They can't sell it. Many times I have told people, sell, take your money off the table, pay the capital gain tax at 20% instead of waiting until it doubles and the step up in basis goes away, and take the net and put it into a portfolio of laser funds, my favorite vehicle, a max funded indexed universal life. And they're able to earn like I have if they go to an IUL professional that knows how to do them right. Over the long haul, they should average 11.17 like I have, and net over 10%, meaning that they can take that money, and every million can generate $100,000 a year of tax-free income, and they go, that's more money than my rental properties were generating. And I don't have to be a landlord. I don't have to fix toilets, evict tenants, take out the trash. What am I going to do with my time? I go, why don't you relax? And so sometimes people don't think about it until I bring it to their attention. And so it's the capital gain tax, the estate tax. Biden wants to increase the estate or death tax from the 40% range up to 67%. That's a tremendous increase, because they like to tax people who were 6 feet under, because they can't complain about it. He wants to raise corporate taxes, and his first was to raise taxes from 21% to 28% for corporations. And these politicians say that's only 7% more. They can afford it. They should pay their fair share. No, that's a 33% increase, because if a corporation was paying $210,000 in tax on every $100,000 of profit, or every $1,000, they pay, let's say, a 21%. So they're paying on $1 million of profit, $210,000. Now they have to pay $280,000. That's $70,000 more. $70,000 is a 33% increase in the money they pay the government. So when they say it's only 7%, do you know most corporations only operate on a 2 or 3% profit margin? They can't afford to pay 33% more out in tax. So what do the corporations do? They let people go, they lay them off, they change to automation, that causes unemployment, and they raise the price of their goods and services so they can make ends meet. And then the poor people out there that, Joe, I don't want to hurt the little guy. Well, that means inflation. The price of goods and services is going up, and that hurts the little guy. It doesn't matter if you raise minimum wage to 15 or 20 or 25 bucks an hour. It's all gobbled up at the gas pump and the hamburger stand. Is this making sense? Too many politicians have never run a business or even a candy store before, and they're making decisions that affect economics, and they wonder what's going on. So whenever I ask audiences, how many of you think that taxes in the future will likely be lower? I get nothing but crickets. How many think they're going to be the same? Maybe 1 or 2 out of 1,000 raise their hand. But when I say, how many of you think that taxes in the future will likely be higher because of irresponsible government spending? A sea of hands goes up, and I go, why are you continuing to defer money, procrastinate in IRAs or 401ks until your money is worth this, and then you take it out when you're convinced taxes are going to be higher? And all of a sudden they go, yeah, that doesn't sound very smart. So then they have to start a strategic rollout. The second, which is the hidden tax, is inflation. The government has been printing money since 2019 and 2020 faster than ever in the history of this country. You show me any country in the history of planet Earth that tried to spend their way out of their recessions by printing more money that it ever turned out good. This is not looking good, and inflation, if you don't understand it, normally inflation is reported at around 3 or 4%. you should always double or triple that. Why? Because back in 1980, who was in it? Well, Reagan got in that year, but before that, it was Jimmy Carter. That was the last time we had double-digit inflation like this. And I started in this profession in 1974. Now, when inflation hit 10, I was earning 15.5% because I've always been able to earn a rate of return greater than the inflation rate using indexed insurance products, okay? I'll come back to that. But see, back in the 1980s, the government could not afford to pay Social Security recipients the actual cost of living increase, the inflation rate. They couldn't afford to increase people's Social Security 10%, and so they changed the way they calculate and report inflation. This is called the Consumer Price Index, the CPI. And so they changed it from comparing the same basket of goods to the identical basket of goods, apples to apples, year to year, to apples to oranges, which means the government can compare the price of an 8-ounce filet mignon steak last year to 8 ounces of hamburger next year. And they do it. So when they say the cost of living has gone up 5, it's really gone up, 10 or 15. When they say it's 8%, it's usually 24%. So that's what happens. But if inflation, which in the year 2021 to 2022, it actually, they reported 8, but it was at least 15%. 15 divided into the rule of 72 means the cost of living is going to double in 4.8 years. This is serious. If you could get by in retirement on $100,000 this year, in 5 years, you're going to need $200,000 to buy the same gallons of gas and loaves of bread that you can buy today for $100,000. So these are the two big dangers that cause people to outlive their money. And these two, of course, cause market volatility because the market doesn't know how to respond when this is going on. And so market volatility is here to stay. These are the three big dangers. So this is the perfect storm, and it's happening. Sometimes it's just this, sometimes it's this, sometimes it's that. We have all three. This is the perfect storm that we are about to enter. Don't put your head in the sand. So what I would recommend you do is link your returns and protect yourself by converting to tax-free vehicles. That's done in my favorite financial vehicle, the Laser Fund, and I'm going to gift you a copy of a book that will teach you about this. But if you have tax-free income, it doesn't show up on your 1040 tax return. The IRS knows you're receiving it, but it doesn't matter what they raise taxes to. The General Accountability Office says they're going to have to raise taxes to 50 and 60% to cover all of this spending. When inflation happens, I don't like it any more than anybody, but it doesn't hurt me. When inflation was 15% in the year 2021, even to 2022, many of our clients locked in gains on their indexed universal life policies of 25%, even 61%, and even 158%. Because when that happens, when there's anxiety, that spells opportunity. And of course, you use indexing. I'm not talking about index mutual funds because you would lose money, like 40% in 2008. Our clients didn't lose a dime because you're using a strategy. You get to participate when the market goes up. You do not lose one dime when the market goes down because your money is not at risk in the market. So this is how you eliminate those dangers, make yourself immune, and make yourself recession-proof when there's a perfect storm brewing. The three strengths of a laser fund, which is a properly structured, max-funded indexed universal life, is the ability to access your money when you need it. That's called liquidity. You're able to have safety of your principal. Whatever you set aside, you do not lose what you put in there due to market downturns. And any year you make money, that becomes newly protected principal. You do not lose in future years money you made in previous years. Most financial advisors don't know how to do that. And then you want to have predictable rates of return. There will be years you make 25 and 61%. They're fewer and far between, but you want to average 10% net, cash on cash, so that every $1 million you save, if you want, can generate $100,000 a year of payout without depleting principal. I teach you how to do that in my book. So you get a predictable rate of return, but a tax-free rate of return of 10 would be like earning 15 or 16% in a tax-deferred IRA or 401k invested in the market. Because in a 33% bracket, you have to subtract a third. So you earn 16 and you're netting around 10.5 or 11, and then you have to subtract the 1% fee they're charging you to manage that $1 million. So you have to earn 16 to net 10. In order to earn 16, you've got to take some pretty scary risks. I wouldn't recommend it. I would rather safely earn a rate of return netting me 10. I want to earn 11 and net 10. And you do that in a properly structured laser fund. So if this is intriguing you, here's how you can learn how to take advantage of this and make yourself recession proof. This is my 11th book. It's been flying off of our warehouse shelves. It's actually 2 books in one. This side is about 200 pages, 14 chapters with all the charts and graphs to show you how to diversify and create the foundation for a tax-free retirement and make yourself recession proof. If you're more of a right brain learner, you flip over to this one. This is about 100 pages, 12 chapters with 62 actual client stories. If you want to use both your left brain and right brain, you can read both of these books. But if you go to Amazon, and these are $20, plus you pay another $10 shipping and handling. If you do that, thank you. But I will gift you a copy if you simply go to laserfund.com, laserfund.com, or click on the link below, and you contribute a nominal amount towards the shipping and handling. I'll cover the rest of that cost, and I'll pay for the book. I'll fire out a hard copy to you via priority mail. While you're in there claiming your free copy of this book, check out if you like to listen and learn or watch and learn. There's those audio and video explanations. And you might want to register for one of our educational webinars that we do on a regular basis. They're free, no charge. But also, you could schedule an appointment, just fill in your name in an appointment slot to talk to an IUL professional that I oversee and have trained so that you can see how a properly structured laser fund may work in your particular set of circumstances. Because if you don't, and this perfect storm brews and causes the next recession, you're going to be exposed. You could lose 20, 30, 40%. Don't do that. Don't take that risk. Make yourself recession proof.